Yeah.
Okay, search planes from Australia are flying over the suspected debris in the Indian Ocean, but so far nothing significant has been found.
And back with us to talk about the latest in the search is former military pilot and aviation expert Justin Green and Evy Poumpouras, former Secret Service agent. So welcome. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so let's start first with this possibility, which we've all seen the photos, but is it possible that the Australian officials have better photos than what they're showing us on TV right now?
Absolutely. Don't think that what they're showing us is what they have. They're not going to show everything. One, they don't want to show their true capabilities. A lot of this, you've got, 26 countries working together, and not everybody wants to put forward, like, their own information because, again, everyone's worried about what? One country spying on another country.
But isn't that dangerous to the search, withholding that kind of information?
Well, if they have the location where they last saw the wreckage, they don't necessarily need to show the detail of that information. If they know where the wreckage is now and they're withholding the information, that could create a real problem for the investigation.
Why would they do that? I mean, what's the rationale
I think what
behind that?
Evy just said.
People are scared about everyone spying on each other. I worked a lot with foreign dignitaries, and a lot of times we'd work for a common mission, or if I was protecting the president and he was going overseas, or vice versa when foreign heads of state come here
in the middle of the Indian Ocean, they're worried about people spying on each other?
Think about World War II and Coventry. We knew, the British knew that the Germans were going to bomb Coventry because we broke the code, but they didn't warn the people. They didn't send up the airplanes because they didn't want the Germans to know that they had that capability.
Well, now, what about this? This Malaysian reports, the Malaysian authorities aren't, they're not commenting on it, but there are reports that one of the pilots made a phone call before takeoff. Anything significant about this?
Absolutely significant. Who is he calling, obviously? Is he calling a family member, and what did he say to that family member? Is it, again, if we're talking suicide mission, is he calling to say goodbye, any last words? Who knows? What did he say? What did he not say? I love you. So you want to think of it from that emotional aspect, and then also you want to think of it more in a deviant way. Is he calling somebody else because there's another, plot or conspiracy behind it?
But you both talked about this yesterday, the way this is being handled, this kind of a trickling out of information. Is this a good thing that this news is getting out, or how do we kind of lock this down to get the best result?
Well, one thing, somebody is right. Everyone's guessed everything about what could have happened, and somebody later is going to be able to say, hey, I was right, I guessed the right thing, but they're all guesses, and that's really the point. Things are coming out of this investigation. Some of it's very unreliable. Some of it comes out and the next day it's backtracked. What we know right now is the airplane made a planned turn. They programmed a turn, and that's really all we know. We don't know if it's mechanical, we don't know if it's terror, we don't know if it's suicide.
Okay. One of the things I want to piggyback off of what Justin's saying is, I think it's okay to have an imagination here. I know everyone's tweeting and coming up with all these conspiracies. I think that's the right thing to do. As an investigator, yes, I want the facts, but you have to have imagination. Back, 2001, if somebody would have told you there's going to be a hijacking 4 planes with box cutters, they're going to fly into the towers, you would have never believed it. You would have thought you were insane. And I was there on that day. I was there. I don't speak of 9/11 as if I saw it on TV. I was at the towers. I lived through that. And even I remember as that first tower was coming down over me, I remember thinking, like, what is happening? I still couldn't get my mind around it because I lacked imagination. So I think you have to have facts, information, but I think imagination is key because you know what? If this is a terrorist plot or a hijacking or whatever we're dealing with, I guarantee your opponent, he or she, they have imagination.
And what Evy just said, if they don't find the airplane, they're going to have to consider every possible risk. They have to consider every mechanical risk that could have caused it. They're going to have to consider every pilot, psychological risk that might have caused it, or terror risk, because if they don't find out what happened, they have to protect about what could have happened.
Before we let you go, I got to ask you both, real quickly, where do you think the plane is?
I think it's on the bottom of the ocean.
Indian Ocean, bottom of the ocean, no survivors. I wish I could, I'm hopeful, but...
Well, stay tuned. You guys are great. We appreciate your time again this morning. Justin Green and Evy Poumpouras.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing your insight and expertise.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you on Monday as well as this search continues with more information. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.